The good morning is, I don't think, anyone's favorite exercise, but it really is one of the most useful, especially if you're involved in athletics. What it trains is the posterior chain that everyone talks about, low back, hamstrings, glutes, all that. And it is involved in this hip hinge here, which is important for any sport, jumping, throwing a punch, anything like that. Also for the Olympic lifts, also for squatting, all that stuff. So when you're hinging at your hip here, you're really pushing your butt back, which is putting a stretch in your hamstrings and putting you in a very vulnerable position. When you do a good morning and the weight's on your back, this is very uncomfortable, which is why people don't really like the exercise. But it's also a position that you would be in when doing an Olympic lift, like a clean. When you're on the way up, your hips are back, your torso is extended in front of you. So it's good mimicry for people who are into that kind of thing. Also, for something as simple as squats, especially power lifters can benefit a lot from this exercise, because squats going wrong are when you've gotten into this position, and the stronger you are, the better you can, one, hold the correct position, and two, recover from something not going quite right. There are a lot of variations to the good morning. You can do normal good mornings, which are typically high bar good mornings. You can do narrow stance, squat stance, wide stance, low bar with all those variations, chains, bands. You can do them in a rack with stops. You can do it starting from chains. It's really endless. So you can get a lot out of this exercise, like many exercises, but this is one of the most basic exercises. And because it's uncomfortable, because people don't like extending their back, they tend to avoid it. But this is something that makes your back stronger. There is an exercise called rounded back good mornings, but we're not touching that because that's for more advanced lifters who know what they're doing. So performance-wise, it starts out just like a squat. Again, your stance can vary. And if you know how to do a Romanian deadlift, it is about the same thing, except the bar is on your back. So you just unlock your knees, keep your back tight, push the hips back, contract the glutes to come up. Again, there's a lot of variations. You can vary the depth, how far over you're bending over, whether you want to concentrate on low back or hamstrings. There are just endless options. So it is important for people to keep this as a primary exercise. Like many exercises that aren't comfortable, it's one of the better ones for you. So even if you're just using the bar or even a stick for high reps, I encourage you to add this in as part of your repertoire in terms of training. Mastering this motion is what a lot of people take for granted. Once you have this and you're not doing this instead or rounding over when you go forward, this will help you in a lot of lifts, just like I mentioned earlier, squats, Olympic lifts, everything. So this translates very easily. Even if you're injured, you can do something like seated good mornings if you have a bad knee, which can help bring your lower back up before, and hamstrings to a degree, before you can get back to normal squatting. This exercise does make some beginners nervous. So like I said, you can use just an empty bar or a stick, or even as part of a warm-up. Grab a band, mild tension, put it around your neck, stand on the other side, and do sets of 25, 50, something like that, just as a warm-up. Not only will it help your lower back, but you'll get used to the motion and it'll be more comfortable in the future.